Hello and welcome. I'm Orin the Wizard, and today I'm bringing you a new Sorcerous Cup strategy. I don't know if anybody else has done any videos on this. I assume not. I don't really follow because I find that they influence my opinions, strategies, my thoughts on the whole cup, and I like to come to conclusions by myself with my own studying and stuff. So, the team today is a double lick Munchlax Lickitung team. And obviously, when you put the two of those on a team, you're very weak to Toxicroak. So I've got Bronzong and Wigglytuff to keep it at bay. So the interesting thing is that when you have two normals, well even three normals, on a team, the opponent doesn't want to lead with their fighter because they know it's too important. So you can generally pretty safely lead with Munchlax, Lickitung, or Wigglytuff. Bronzong is also a pretty safe lead, but I definitely leaned on like Munchlax, Lickitung, Wigglytuff more. So, when you have those four, Munchlax, Lickitung, Bronzong, Wigglytuff on a team, you're obviously very weak to Alolan Muck. So, the obvious choice is Toxicroak. It's a hard counter to Alolan Muck, Skuntank, that kind of stuff. And then, for my last slot, I was a little tiny bit weak to Azumarill. I had a whole lot of soft counters, but nothing really super solid. So I went with Kanto Muck, because Poison Jab fast move, Thunder Punch charge move, and then also it has Dark Pulse, which can just about, or maybe just, one-hit KO a Frostlass, which is on almost every single team. So we'll get right into this, and I hope you learn, and I hope that if you do try this strategy, it works out for you. Alright, enjoy! Alright, so for round 1, we see he's got Linoone, Skuntank, Azumarill, Toxicroak, Frostlass, Bronzong. So, obviously Toxicroak is very good against that team, and I want to lead it because I don't think he's going to lead Bronzong against my team, because I have the 2 lick. So, my thought is I'll lead Toxicroak, and I'll have Bronzong and Lickitung in the back, because Bronzong can take out the Toxicroak. It can do pretty well against the Frostlass, it can do pretty well against the Azumarill, and then Lickitung with the Power Whip can take out Azumarill, take out Bronzong, take out Frostlass. Does okay against Linoone. It's pretty even. I think Linoone comes out a little bit on top, but for the most part it's pretty even. And then Skuntank is the only real worry, but I don't think he's going to use it against my team because I've got Bronzong who double resists the poison fast move. I've got Munchlax, I've got Toxicroak, so I'm not too worried about Skuntank. Alright, so as I said before, leading Toxicroak right into his Toxicroak. Wasn't really expecting it, but it's fine, it's a mirror. He swaps out Bronzong, so I go for a Mud Bomb, it's about half health, and then I go for the instant swap into Lickitung. So I can pretty much just farm it down. Bronzong doesn't really have anything that can threaten a Lickitung with the one-hit KO. So he makes the mistake of using Bulldoze here. It does like nothing. So I can just farm it all the way down. Then when Toxicroak comes back in, I can fire 2 Body Slams. And you'll see, Body Slam does a lot to a Toxicroak. And then he has to shield the second one, or he's down to his last Pokemon. And then I can just send in my own Bronzong to clean his out. So I don't shield because I see that I got the confusion, even though he's got 2 Mud Bombs. I got the confusion, so he's dead before he can use it. And then this is pretty straightforward. Shield the Shadow Balls. And I'm just shielding everything. It doesn't really matter at this point. An Avalanche would probably just about kill me, and I don't want to have Toxicroak against Frostlass. So as long as I pull a win here, the Bronzong can kill the Toxicroak in one hit. And there it is. So going into round 2, I assume that he's going to think I'm leading Toxicroak again because it went well, so I go Lickitung, and he does. And then Toxicroak right into Skuntank. Pretty straightforward. 1 Mud Bomb will kill it. But I think I actually just farm it down a little bit, and then throw the Mud Bomb. So I'm one counter from a Mud Bomb here. So I'm expecting Bronzong to come back out and I can hit it with a Mud Bomb. But he sends the Croak out. So I can definitely hit a Mud Bomb. And then Bronzong can go right into the Croak, and then Lickitung can clean out the Bronzong. So the Body Slam is obviously resisted, but it doesn't really matter at this point. I can lick it down. And then I come to the mirror with almost full health. Pretty straightforward matchup. And he's got his little Croak in the back with no health. He's about 2 confusions from dead now. And there it is. Alright, so round 3 I get a pretty bad lead, but it's kind of even, but I think that the Linen does pull it out a little bit more, because Shadow Claw generates energy so quick. So I don't want to use any shields here, but I do want to win the matchup if possible. He swaps in the Bronzong, so I'm gonna make or I think I actually stay in here. And I just farm it down as much as possible. Obviously no shield with this much health. I'm dead in 3 confusions. And then Lickitung can farm that down. So he does use the Psy Shock this time, and does more damage than the Bulldoze. But then I can fire off 2 Body Slams against whatever comes in. So I swap right out to Bronzong here, because there's no need to stay in. And then Lunan comes out with a Shadow Claw. I think this might be a dig, so I do shield it. It's just a Grass Knot though. So I obviously don't shield the second one. And then I can just take out the Croak. And obviously shield this just I was kind of debating letting Lickitung finish it off, but it was a little low on health. So pretty straightforward. Alright, so what I was anticipating, Noctowl lead here, or Frostlass. So this wasn't great for me, but not horrible. I brought my double Lickies in the back. Obviously don't need to shield anything here. Here comes the Medicham. I think we were both surprised by just how much the Lickitung did to the Medicham, just with Licks and Body Slams alone. So he's got Power Up Punch, so I know he doesn't have Dynamic Punch. I figure he's got either Ice Punch or Psychic, so I have absolutely no need to shield on Bronzong. And he does not shield this, which is a great call. Right back to the mirror. And it's just a bait game now. And then into Noctowl. We're not totally out of the woods yet. The Noctowl could have Nightshade. I only have 1 shield, he has 2. And the Nightshade, even the Sky Attack will 1-hit kill me here. So I think what I try to do is sack into Munchlax, but I can't quite Yeah. So I obviously have to shield. And then go in with Munchlax on the next one. A little early. And then I'm just firing off as many body slams as possible. And he does get the last body slam before Noctowl can wing attack it down. So a very, very close one. If he had landed one sky attack on my Bronzong, I would have lost. Alright, so into game 2, I lead Wigglytuff into Claydol, pretty even. He's running Confusion instead of Mudslap on it. So he was running the double Confusion, I was running the double Lick, so we were kind of playing off each other pretty well. And I just want to save all my energy for the next thing and maybe fire off possibly 2, but definitely 1 charge move. And it didn't matter because it was Bronzong. Does nothing. I technically should have gone for the Ice Beam so I could get the second one, but it didn't really matter. So I just want to farm this down like we did with Lickitung. Here comes Medicham. I think I just fire off 2 body slams and then swap right into Bronzong and let it finish it off. Yep, and then Bronzong can just use Confusions all the way down. That one was a lot less tight than the first one, but it still could have been flipped either way. So into the third game, I get the absolutely beautiful lead of Wiggly into Medi. So he goes right out into Claydol. That tells me he has Bronzong in the back. He doesn't want to swap in his hard counter right away. He does get the debuff here, which is a game maker for him, but I am luckily able to pull it out in the end. I don't think I could have even gotten to a third body slam anyway. But the debuff definitely didn't help. So he takes a little too long. I think he lags, but he just missed the swap window. And that was probably a bad call, but he shielded it, so it worked out. So I shield both of these. He fires off 2 bulldozes in a row, and luckily I do call them both. He calls my first one, and then in the second one I fire another Psyshock and he does shield it. So I sacked into that. Wasn't really necessary, just kind of for fun. I knew that Wiggly wasn't going to get another charge move against Medi anyway, and Bronzong would be able to fire a Psyshock and kill him one hit. So another close one, but pretty clean. Alright, so here we go into a bad lead. So I swap in the Croak here after the first body slam, kind of as an intimidation tactic, just to see what he would do, and kind of pray he didn't have a Bronzong. Because I didn't want to swap in Bronzong because then Noctowl would just clean me out later on. And he does actually swap out. So I was very lucky that you fell for that little mind trick. So I don't shield the avalanche. I probably, maybe not should have, but I could have. And then gotten off another mud bomb, but I wasn't really too worried about it. So I just wanted to farm it down, but he did get one off. And then I just farm it down the rest of the way and fire off body slams on the next thing. And then here comes Bronzong. Right into a sky attack. And then we have Zangoose. If I didn't have his shield, it would have been pretty tricky. He does land one Nightshade before he dies. He just survives that and then fires it. But luckily I did have that shield that I did not use on Toxicroak. And then just pretty straightforward. So I wanted either Zangoose or Muck for this lead, so I was pretty happy with this. The charms just chunk away at it. In comes Zangoose. Not a great call. It does have close combat that can take a lot of a wiggly. He doesn't actually use it. So I don't shield that. I figure I can probably survive a close combat and then have a charge move for the next thing. But Night Slash anyway. In comes Muck. I didn't think he was quite at a Sludge Wave, but he was. So I don't shield it. And then Munchlax's obviously into that. Want to hit a body slam, and then if he shields it, maybe try to farm down a little. But it's a dangerous situation. He swaps anyway. So Bronzong obviously kills this, and then the Muck comes in, and the Bronzong can kill it with a couple confusions. Or just fire off with Psyshock. It didn't really matter. It was over anyway. And I still had the Munchlax in the back with the body slam. So another pretty clean win. Alright, so this round I lead Wiggly into Frostlass. Pretty even. Not really a huge advantage for either of us. So he swaps out into the Bronzong, I go right into Munchlax and just lick it. I do try to land the Bulldoze, just for fun. And I just let that go through. There was no real need. And Wiggly kills it in 3 charms. In comes Zangoose again. I tried to hit it with a Play Rough. I thought maybe he wouldn't shield, but Zangoose is so squishy you have to shield it. And then this time I do not shield, and he uses close combat. But it debuffs him heavily, so Bronzong can just hit it with 2 confusions. And I'm in 2 shields up against the Frostlass, so pretty comfortable matchup. Just shield everything. And there we go. Alright, so game 1 I get a pretty positive lead. Wiggly against Munchlax. I double resist the lick. And I think that this is a supreme matchup, but it's actually not. The Munchlax does end up killing my Wiggly before I can take it down. I got a little too greedy. I was trying to come off with a whole bunch of energy into the next thing. so I didn't fire any charge moves. So this was just a total misplay on my part. And I thought I could survive more licks than he could charms, but I was incorrect. So he can obviously completely dictate the rest of the match here. I can't really do much. And he's running a Shadow Ball Thunder Punch, so it's a pretty good matchup for Munchlax, so I do want to try to get into it. So I try to sack, and nope. I did click it, but I over-tapped just a little bit. So again, I go for the sack. Again, I overtap. That's a pretty clean win for him. I do get a bulldoze, but he obviously shields it. So, very good on my opponent. It was a horrible misplay on my part. Alright, so into game 2, Hypno into Munchlax. Fantastic lead for me. So he goes for the mirror, and I go for Wiggly again. I did not learn my lesson. But for some reason, I throw the charge move this time, instead of just saving it, and I do end up winning this matchup by a little tiny bit of health. Just because of those licks that my Munchlax did against his. It just took it down that last little bit that Wiggly needed. So I survive by that little tiny bit and get switch advantage. And this is obviously a very good matchup for me. And then it's a pretty easy, clean win from here. He doesn't shield this because he wants to shield the Body Slam, but it's a Bulldoze, so it takes him down to like no health. Easy win. Alright, so game 3. Bronzong into Munchlax. Horrible for me. Absolutely horrible. So I want to sack it, but he didn't quite throw. And this is actually fine. I can just fire off as many Body Slams as possible. So this is where I make a super risky play, and I shield it to try to lick down the Toxicroak before he gets off a Mud Bomb. And it works. So I lose shield advantage, but I win switch advantage, which is absolutely massive, especially with how polarizing our teams are. And then he tries to farm me with his Munchlax. He doesn't realize how much health Munchlax has, so I can just keep firing off Body Slams while he's trying to farm me. And I don't think Preamble even gets to a charge move here. His priority is keeping that Munchlax alive, but I have a full Wiggly in the back that double resists the lick and only takes neutral from the Body Slam. And I think he's in one. Well, I get one more confusion off, and then he's in like 1 charm range, maybe 2. Yeah, 2. All right, so into the final round. This is a pretty great lead for me. So he's running Crunch and Flamethrower, but I was assuming he was going to be running Crunch and Sludge Bomb. And then in game 2, he didn't use Crunch against my Bronzong, he used Flamethrower. so I thought he was Flamethrower or Sludge Bomb, so it just threw me off for all 3 games. And he doesn't shield anything here, he just lets it die. So I obviously just let it go, and I have my Bronzong, and pretty easy matchup. And then he has the Wigglytuff in the back, and I think I fire 1 Psyshock and then swap into Muck and just farm it down. Maybe throw 1 or 2 Thunder Punches, but it's mostly the Poison Jab damage. So a pretty straightforward, clean win. Alright, so round 2, Bronzong into Skuntank, kind of an even lead, it's a little bit of his advantage. So I want to sack my Wigglytuff into his Crunch, and then he fires a Flamethrower, so I was just completely thrown off. And then he sends in his own Rock, and I'm pretty much fine with that. I just eat it, I figured there's no need to shield it. Wiggly's not really going to do much for me anymore. So my only win scenario is to hope that he thinks I'm baiting, but nope. And then I land a Psyshock, but it doesn't quite do enough. And then I send him in Munchlax, but it's just a little bit too low. So a very good win for my opponent. His double Poison Dark strategy definitely does work. And then Azumarill. So obviously I just have no chance here. He can land 1 play rough, or 2 play roughs, and or 1 play rough and 1 Hydro Pump, or 1 Hydro Pump and a couple of bubbles, but no matter what he does, he wins. So into the very final round for all the marbles, and another not so great lead. So I go right into Munchlax. He sends in Croak, and that was exactly what I wanted. So I hit it with a couple body slams. I do have the option to recreate my really risky move, but I didn't think he was low enough or I was high enough. So I didn't go for it. So I was expecting him to go for double Dark Poison again here, which is why I brought Toxicroak, but he actually has Azumarill on the back, which is fine for me. I do land a Sludge Bomb on it. So we're gonna bait. I don't think he actually falls for the bait. Oh, maybe he does, Hit it with a couple counters, and then in comes Azumarill and unshielded Sludge Bomb. So much damage. And then I just need to land a Mud Bomb now, and he does shield the first one. And I do not shield the play rough. And I survive with enough health for him to get 1 bubble, so that was a pretty good play on his part. But Bronzong can obviously just come in and farm it down a little bit and then fire a Bulldoze on Skuntank right away. So Bronzong comes in clutch to get me all the marbles. Hopefully this video has showed you how this strategy works and showed you some examples of how people react to it. I hope that if you use it, you get some success. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on Discord or comment on the video and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Good luck!